one of the days that we were rained out, I blew all the dust off the combine, checked the oil, filled it up with fuel. That way when we got back in, I knew it would be ready to go. And I noticed that feeder house belt, or the belt that runs the head, it looked loose. Sometimes when it sits for a while, that reverser will back off a little bit and it'll look like the belt's loose. So I just wanted to get out and check that before I got too far ahead, because last year we had to replace those shivs and we shredded that belt. Not a fun thing. So, but that's what happened. The reverser must have backed off just a little bit. I think everything's fine. We're gonna get back to it. So conditions are definitely not ideal after all that rain we got. It's a little slippery out here. We don't have rear wheel drive on our combine and we just have row crop duals. So that is not a great combination for mud, but we don't really have a choice right now. So we're just gonna try and struggle through it. I'm cutting a few ruts. I'm gonna try and keep the combine empty, keep the auger cart empty. Oh, this ain't good. Come on. Oh, wonderful. All right. We might not be picking corn today. It is wet out here. All right. That's just about got stuck twice now. We might have to find somewhere else to go. I don't know. I thought it would be all right. We gave it a few days to dry out, but it is just soft out here. Not good. Not good. Definitely not what you want to be doing, but it's getting late enough. We need to get some corn out. Oh boy, this is not fun. Got to be real careful where you go, how much you got in the combine, try and stay light. Can't load the auger cart up full, otherwise it'll get stuck. These are not the kind of conditions we like to harvest in. Come on. Well, that wasn't as bad as last time. Still not great, but not as bad. This field was corn last year, corn again this year, obviously. We ran our disc ripper on it last fall, and I'm really thinking that's the reason why we're having so much trouble sinking, because if you have a wet year like this, your tire tracks are going to cut down as deep as your tillage, and we ripped it pretty deep. So that is, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I want to switch over to some no-till and minimum till. It's just, I don't think we're doing a whole lot of good by ripping it that deep, because you get into a year like this, and I saw trouble with it this spring. It was wet and I couldn't get across with the field cultivator or the sprayer because it's just soft. So we actually no-tilled 120 acres of corn on bean stubble. I'm anxious to see what that's like, if it's a little more firm, you know, if we can get across it better. But it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. My wife brought me lunch. She brought me this sub, which I'm very thankful for. But it's a little messy, and I'm trying to pick corn in the mud, and dump on the go, and run the camera. So I could use a couple more hands right now. Oh, and we don't have row sense, so I actually have to steer the combine. Hopefully that was the worst muddy spot, because it's not as bad over there so far. gonna get out again here and see what kind of job I'm doing. Alright, that looks better. I got out earlier and I was leaving a lot on the ground. So I made some adjustments and I like that a lot better. It's doing a lot better job. Not losing as much now. So I had somebody comment, they were asking if it's like a trade secret if you know how to set a combine or what the settings you use. I wouldn't say it's a secret. It's more or less just you run it, you get a feel for it, and you kind of know what to look for. We actually have this slide chart that helps you set the combine. You just slide this out this way, and you set it on whatever crop you're on. So right now it's on corn, and then right here it says all the settings. And those are just kind of baseline settings. You set it kind of close, you get out and see how much you're losing out the back, or if you got too much trash in the tank, then you kind of adjust things from there. But the main things you adjust, I mean you can adjust everything, but the concave clearance, your sieves, your chaffer, and your fan speed. Well, we're about half done with this 40, a little over half. There's a house yard up here that we got to go around, so I'm opening up the end rows over here on this side. It's a little wet. We had a couple other wet spots that we had to go through. It's a lot better than when I first started, and I'm getting over to some heavier ground, so I don't know if that's going to be better or worse, but I guess we'll find out. Well, we call that the row of shame. And I can't take credit for that term. I have to give credit to Joel. He coined that term, and I've been using it ever since. So, row of shame. Wasn't in the right row when I struck my land out, so we end up with one row. We're over here in a different hybrid. It's actually it's a little bit drier than the other one. It's going down a little bit too, just like that other one was. It's not bad enough to where we can't get underneath it, but it's time to get it out because it's going to just keep going down. And like I've said before, picking down corn is not fun. I was going along the fence row and I hooked this wire and I drug it all the way through the field and back, and I didn't realize it. Yeah, back in the day, farmers would, if they say they owned 160 acres, they would section it off in 40-acre fields, and they'd put fence around them so they could turn their cows out, or their pigs, or whatever, sheep. And a lot of those fences are still intact. There's one right here along the border of this field. It's just woven wire fence, and there's old fence posts that are rotted away, but the fence is still there. Once in a while you'll hook it with something. It's not a big deal. Kind of nice to leave the old fence post there because it's a good border, so you know where you're at. But once in a while you'll hook the wire and you'll have to get out and clean it off. Not a big deal. It just hooked on the snoot. It didn't get into the knife rolls or the gathering chains or anything, so it didn't hurt anything. See that? There's water standing right there. Now, it doesn't make sense, but normally when there's water standing, you have a better shot getting through it. So I'm gonna see what happens. Wish me luck. Oh, well, that was a piece of cake. See, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's some pretty deep ruts right there. That's kind of a high spot in the field. And then I go through that spot where there's standing water and I barely cut a track. I just do not understand that. See, look at this. I'm gonna go right through the water again. I don't understand it. Not at all. I mean, I'm slipping and sliding a little bit, cutting a little bit of a track, but nothing compared to where there's no water standing. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick public service announcement. I apologize, I got to get on my soapbox for a minute. But this field we're in is right in the corner of a busy intersection. I mean, it's a country intersection, but it's fairly busy for what it is. And I've seen countless cars blow right through the stop sign. It's a four-way stop. And I see it all the time. It drives me nuts. I know a lot of people think, we're out in the country, nobody's around, we'll just blow it and save some time. But you gotta stop at stop signs. There's a state hunting area just a few miles down the road, and it gets a lot worse when it's hunting season, which was opening day yesterday. Those hunters, they come from wherever, and they just blow right through the stop sign, and it drives me nuts because my family and myself are the ones who are going through that stop sign 10, 15 times a day. So we have a lot higher odds of getting hit by somebody, and I don't want to see that. I want everyone to be safe. I want you all to go home to your families, and that's all I have to say about that. I'll get off my soapbox now. Going through some more water. Dylan said he almost got the tractor stuck. We're trying to make a good YouTube video for you and get something stuck, but it's just not working. I'm going right through the water with no problem. So, I don't know. We got a couple rounds left. We might get something stuck before the end of the day. Well, I guess Dylan did almost get stuck. Those were some pretty serious ruts. Alright, we're down to the last 3 rows on this farm. The elevator's open for about another hour and a half. I think I might go down the road to another farm, pick a load there, and see what the moisture is. I think our plan for tomorrow is to go to the bin and get another batch drying. So it probably won't take us all day to do half a load in the dryer. So that way I will know what the moisture is on that farm. So when we get the dryer full, we can go over there and finish out the day, if that makes sense. We just got moved down here to this other farm. It's really wet here. We're having some trouble, and it's going down a lot worse than that last farm, so we really need to get it out while it's still somewhat standing. Got some standing water here. Yeah, it's a little touch and go, but I think we're gonna get it. Elevator's gonna close soon anyway, so I don't know. Won't be here very long. Yeah, it is really squishy here. I mean, I expected it to not be fit, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. Nobody wants to rut up their fields, but at this point we don't really have a choice, so we're just gonna rut it up, I guess. I don't know, we'll figure out how to level back out. I don't know if we'll get a chance to do it this fall, so we might have to do something this spring, so. Yeah. These are the kind of conditions where the header height control really makes a huge difference, because if you hit a wet spot and one side of the machine goes down and you didn't have header height control, the corn head would just dig into the ground, and that could cause a bunch of problems. If you're pulling dirt into the machine, it could bust something, who knows. But it's got 3 sensors that drag along the ground. You set your header height to whatever you want, and it just stays there. So in these soft conditions, that really makes a big difference. As you can see, this corn's down pretty good. I'm gonna have to leave. It's too wet here to even hardly get through with the combine, so I'm gonna try and struggle through and get one load, and that way we know where the moisture's at, which it doesn't really matter at this point, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get one load, and we're just gonna have to make other arrangements because this field's gonna have to sit for a while. It's just too wet. somebody's gonna have to watch that. Guess who it's gonna be? Maybe I'll make Dylan wash it. Sounds like a good job for Dylan. Anyway, that's probably gonna do it for this video. I think we're gonna get the auger set up and go to the bin tomorrow because this field's a little too wet. It's gonna be, hopefully we don't get a whole lot of rain this week. Maybe later in the week we can get across this a little better. But at least we'll know where the moisture's at, which it doesn't really matter at this point. So anyways, if you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. If it's a good enough comment, maybe I'll answer your question in the video. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.